This lack of love that I have within myself is the same lack of love that is in every single human on the planet. And this lack of love is reflected in every product that we consume. We are lacking love for our planet. We are lacking love for our environment. If we loved our planet, it wouldn't be in the shape it's in. If you love yourself, you wouldn't be in the shape you're in. Dying for dummies. If you're dying, you're a dummy. And it's just a matter of getting educated. How do you love yourself? This is something that, I'll explore more deeply, but you have to understand that our lack of love is reflected in the environment, it's reflected on the planet, and it's also reflected in the universal world. You will see Stephen Hawking is studying black holes. The man is not loving himself either. Otherwise, he wouldn't be having the illnesses that he has. Every single illness that we have is created from a lack of love that we have for ourselves. All of our influences, like I'm going through what influenced me, we've been heavily influenced to think diseases are real. Why? Because there's profit in it. You're getting rich. You need to get rich because you're not loving yourself. I mean, it's such a circle. And evil, it wants you dead. So some of the ways evil has influenced you into believing is, first, well, everybody has always died. I mean, you want to look at your Bibles, they were living 800 years. If the scariest thing that you can tell anybody on this planet right now is, what if you were supposed to live 800 years? How would that make you feel? Would the first thing you would say is, I don't want to live in this hell for 800 years? I don't care whether you're an elite person. If you have all of the money in the world, would you like to live in this world for 800 years? Most people don't. You may love your stuff, but do you love your stuff enough to want to live on this planet for 800 years, 900 years? If you're religious and you believe in your Bible, they used to live that way. They used to live 800 years. So why is our lifespan so short? Because we've developed all of these rules. We've developed these belief systems that influence the way we live. If you're going to be influenced to believe you're crippled, and you can't cure that, then you'll believe that. It will be your hard drive DNA. But if you have even just the suggestion that, no, that's just a belief system, and your medical system, which has proven to be wrong over and over and over again for me, it's our education systems that are teaching you that, no, all humans die. Look throughout our past, they've all died. And it's like, that ain't exactly true. Jesus never died. If you want to believe in Jesus and Jesus is the only way to get to God, then maybe the idea is don't die. Jesus didn't die. He lived right. Even if you killed him, you couldn't kill him. So that's kind of like, if you really, really believe in your stories, and there's some examples in our history, Jesus didn't die. And if Jesus is the way and you were actually living Jesus' way, nobody could kill you. You would be resurrected. You would never have a record of your death. You would ascend. And the ascension is the transformation. And that's when you start losing what this body actually looks like. There's a big, massive change about to happen, but you cannot get there through death. Evil has worked its way through our Bibles, which is only some human that, got some really good inspiration from God, but the inspiration that they got from God was dealing with a lack of love they had for themselves. So their interpretation of God's message was only through a lack of love that they had. And there's the First Testament, which looks pretty darn evil. And then they, revised it. Who revised it? Some other guy's interpretation of what God's all about. And you got to understand, some human, we all admit, some human wrote these Bibles. But they were like God inspired. But it's like, did God just inspire you way back then, that God lost the ability to inspire anybody after that? That nobody ever can write another book? Nobody else can have this big, there needs to be another rewrite of these Bibles, take out the evil aspects of the Bible. Because a lot of it is, there's some really damn good shit. It's just that if we evolve, then we should evolve this Bible to actually make a lot more sense. To die is not the way to go, but it's almost like the only way we're dying is through our sinning. And the biggest sin that you can commit is lack of love for yourself, lack of love for another human being, lack of love for your planet, lack of love for God, lack of love for Jesus. I watch so many people that are believing in a religion, yet it's like, okay, you want to say Jesus is the way to get to God. You believe you should live like Jesus, but are you doing what Jesus is doing? Like, even disciplines. Jesus never disciplined anybody. He talked. He tried to communicate. He tried to give understanding. But somehow we've twisted that to be, no, we need to discipline. Jesus never disciplined anybody. He just sort of said, look at what you're doing. Is this what you want? He allowed everybody to kill him, to say, you're killing me. This is where we are right now, that, those that are in power, if you're believing in any kind of God, God didn't do harm to another human being. God didn't go out and kill other people. That would be Satan. And I will provide some tools that will help you communicate with Satan if you really want to understand what Satan's about. And yes, Satan really does want to kill all of human life, because Satan really wants to just end all pain. But Satan has failed over and over again and can't kill human life. You have to transform evil. So, whether you're believing in God or you're believing in Satan, nobody is doing it right yet, because if you're dying, you're a dummy. You haven't figured out the experience of human life yet. If you really, really want to be smart, you'd be living a long life. What does it take for you to live a long life? Well, you actually have to love your life. You have to love you. You have to love everybody else on the planet. You have to love the planet itself. You have to love food. Food that takes care of you. And as soon as we do that, then everything that's mirrored out in the universal world will mirror what's inside of us. But right now we're so full of hate. We're so full of fear. We're so full of everything that's killing us that something within that universal world is going to come down and kill us, but not kill all of us. Because some of us do have a lot of love, and some of us will survive. And that's why you can't kill human life, is because even if you kill me, just because I am not identical to Jesus, just because I don't love myself enough, doesn't mean that you can wipe me dead. Somebody's going to survive this. And life finds a way. Because ultimately, we are loving beings. You cannot escape that. The heart is an example of, is the organ of love. That's why we've attached, Valentine's Day, I heart you, I love you, is because the only way human life exists is through love. You have to actually get rid of all aspects of love to be able to kill human life. So even if you love stuff, if you love anything, whether you don't know the meaning of love or don't know exactly how to love self and love your planet and love effectively, you are still loving. So you actually have to get rid of all forms of love to be able to destroy all human life. And you can't do that because everybody loves something. I mean, even evil people love being evil. So it's like, as long as you love being evil, you still have love. You know, a love that will kill you, but you still have love of some kind. So that's why you can never destroy human life, because there is that aspect of love. And love is the energy that's perpetuating that heart to keep pumping all of the time, to keep you still growing, to keep you alive, is that love energy. And if that love energy is not in the proper way, you'll die of a heart problem. If that is your biggest focus, is love of stuff, or love of something that is not healthy for you, you will develop a heart problem. Ironically, both my grandfathers, most of my heritage, die of heart problems. And that's because they really, really were loving people. They just didn't know how to love properly. I really, truly believe my father is a massively loving person. He just doesn't know how to love himself. I believe my mother is one of the most loving people, but she doesn't know how to love herself enough. I have such a large family, and each one of them are massively loving people. They just don't know how to love properly. You know, so that's why, you know, no matter what, Satan will always lose at this. We need to destroy all of human life, because in order to destroy human life, you have to destroy love. And God is love. You know, you can't destroy God. You know, just knowing God, knowing life. So that will be the end of this chapter, that love is the way to go. But we need to be schooled on what love actually is. And when you have love right, then you're healthy. This is a lie. To get to God is through death. That means you failed. You didn't get to God. You just went into the spiritual world, which I'll get into that. But you can't kill the spirit. The spirit needs to be evolved. That's why if you die and you're reincarnated and you come back into this human life experience, it's because you are playing a role in trying to evolve this. All of the spirits, everybody that's died, wants to evolve. They haven't evolved yet. They haven't gotten to God yet. You know, because you can only get to God through Jesus, and you have to actually live the way Jesus lived, which nothing can kill you. You know, no matter how many people try to kill you, you won't die. And you don't kill yourself. You evolve. That's what everybody that has died, all of the spirits that are still here, they just lost their bodies. A lot of people can see them. A lot of people can communicate with them, which means they're there. You just can't see them. They've lost their bodies. Their bodies died. This is the vessel that we need to get to God. The vessel can't die to get to God. You can't die from aging. If you were living 800 years, I mean, you got to understand what aging is, which I'll get into that more. But you know, like anybody that's you really, really rich people, if you need to go and get plastic surgery and all that to keep young, no, there's a healthier way, and without operations. But you know, the plastic surgeons are going to be out of an income because they earn their income the wrong way. But you can actually do it a natural way. You can't die by accidents, because all accidents can be prevented. We see this in Japan. That could have been prevented if they were receiving information. If the genius minds didn't have such a freaking ego, and weren't so attached to money, and you know, these cost-effective rules, it could have been prevented. Everything that's going on the planet can be prevented, so you can't die from an accident. These earth changes. The planet is not what you think it is. It's very dynamic. It is not solid. No particles are actually touching each other. They're actually, all particles are as far a distance as one planet is from another. It's massively not what you think it is. But what we think it is what we're creating. We just need to think of something completely different, and then we unfold a completely different experience. See that?